You are being watched. The government has a secret system, a machine that spies on you every hour of every day. I know because I built it. I designed the machine to detect acts of terror, but it sees everything. Violent crimes involving ordinary people. People like you. Crimes the government considered irrelevant.
What the fuck?
Well, what they're doing is actually contracting with a private company to look at what's going on and get a better picture of the cyberspace landscape. So they have paid, the Department of Homeland Security has paid a company about $11 million. And they look at Facebook, they look at Twitter, they look at YouTube. What they're doing, they say, is screening for certain keywords. Terrorism, tornado. They're looking for information about a natural disaster or a specific event, or it could be as simple as long lines at the airport. You had a somewhat skeptical Congress today. Listen to the man who runs the Nerve Center at the Department of Homeland Security describe how they're using social media.
What we do, again, is that there are long lines at the airport, at the screening centers, those types of things. Those would come up to us, and we would pass that on to the appropriate DHS component for action, again, through corroboration. Is this really happening? What is happening? And what do we need to do to fix that? But identifying individuals, again, or an individual that is making that would be irrelevant to us. There is something happening. Go check it out.
So DHS says this is the what that they're looking at, not the who. But Suzanne, it's important to note we've seen the contract. It was provided by some privacy advocates. And one of the things that's in there is they can collect information about people who report positively or negatively on the Department of Homeland Security. They're supposed to scrub that from any private information from that. But in fact, a name got through. We saw somebody's name on one of these exchanges in these documents. Suzanne.
So, Lucy, what happens to information that you're not sharing publicly, like, you know, Facebook posts that you only share with your friends? Do they have access to that? Are they monitoring that kind of stuff?
They're not supposed to. This is supposed to be publicly available information, what's called open source. So anything you tweet, if you don't have a protected Twitter account, that goes out there. Some people assume that because cyberspace is large, the government is not watching. That's probably not the right way to think of it. And when they look at privacy here, they look at those individual privacy statements of those companies. So whatever Facebook says you might be putting out there, you're putting out there, and that's how the government treats it.
In the summer of 2003, the lights went out for 55 million Americans across the Northeast. Panic spread throughout New York State, injuring hundreds. 11 people died in the dark. What was to blame? A small vulnerability inside the state's transmission control room. Raymond Kenny, a disgruntled employee, unleashed a virus and walked away. 4 hours later, the system overloaded and the grid shut down. 10 years on, modern systems have advanced exponentially. 2011 marked the installation of America's first central operating system. CTOS is a computer software that manages entire cities, providing centralized control over subway lines, traffic lights, surveillance cameras, and electricity grids. A computer now controls a major city. But who controls the computer? The answer is private companies that have everything to gain from a CTOS. Personal data collection is the key commodity. You are no longer an individual. You are a data cluster bound to a vast global network. Last year, the average American cast a digital shadow of over 2.3 gigabytes. What does that represent? Of course, there are credit cards, medical records, and reading habits, but a CTOS includes much more. Massive data silos track and sort every moment of your digital life, revealing how you think and what you believe. That information could be turned against you, not just to sell products, but to influence your worldviews. CTOS directly links your personal information to the physical systems you use every day, essentially providing a direct line to your bedroom laptop. Because all data is interconnected, from Nigerian email scams to hardcore pornography, online shopping to emergency services. It's all part of the same network. 10 years ago, one man shut down the entire Northeast from a central control room. Today, everything can be hacked. No one knows what part of the system will be exploited, but everyone agrees the next assault will do more than just turn out the lights.
Oh my God!
The United States of America, home to 300 million people. Each of us, assuming that if we obey the law and mind our own business, there's no reason for anyone to pay much attention to us. That's what we might think, but we would be wrong.
Records are being created of activities that used to be wholly private.
There are a lot of companies that you've never heard about, but they've heard something about you.
Detailed personal information is being collected every day and used in ways we could never imagine.
Most Americans are in your database somewhere, right?
Also billions of transactions.
Internet searches are being recorded.
They keep everything. Your political leanings, your religious leanings, your medical concerns, your sexual concerns.
Driving habits are being monitored.
Vehicle speed, engine speed, whether the brakes are on or off.
Employees are surveilled.
He's heading back to the shop right now.
Shoppers are observed, recorded, and analyzed.
That's an alert right there.
And personal phone calls?
I was under the impression that nobody could steal my cell phone records. As it turns out, I was very, very wrong.
We are living through a revolution, a surveillance revolution empowered by technology.
Literally within 5 to 7 minutes, we've identified the individual.
It's technology that can be put to good use to stop terrorists and solve crimes. But if information falls into the wrong hands, or it's just plain wrong, it can ruin lives.
I went without a job for months.
Tough 4 months?
Very, very difficult for me.
From implantable chips,
they make a small incision in your arm,
to data mining companies.
Well, how secure is that database?
We take an unprecedented look at the powerful business of personal information.
We're not mining through the personal lives of innocent Americans.
The government is now working with big business to take surveillance and information gathering to levels that were once the stuff of science fiction.
Big Brother, if allowed to happen, will happen. And our job as responsible human beings in society is to make sure that that does not occur.